Our next guest is an actor and filmmaker who comes from a very talented family. His breakthrough role came in 1981 with An American Werewolf in London. 5 years later, he was nominated for a Golden Globe for the film After Hours. For more than 40 years, he's starred in countless movies and TV shows, recently playing Uncle Nicky in This Is Us. Now he has a memoir, The Friday Afternoon Club, which chronicles his early days in Hollywood and his famous family. It also details the terrible tragedy that nearly destroyed them. Please welcome Griffin Dunne, everybody. What's up? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we're a fan. So welcome to the show. And you actually already know some of the band, right?
I do. My Uno partner over there, we played at Questlove's and just hit it off right away.
Oh, you were telling me about that you went to that. Yeah, that's so cool. What a random way to run into.
How about that? And I said, I'm going to be on the show, and she didn't believe me.
And it's not random for your family that you're. So you grew up in Hollywood. Tell us about that.
I did. My parents. When they moved to Hollywood from New York, and my father was a very social guy. He was in television, and it was very unusual that he could give parties with so many Hollywood celebrities who were in movies. The two at that time never intertwined.
Yeah.
But socializing was very important to him, and we would have dinner parties. I was very young. These were the guests at the place was in the early to mid '60s. They were people like Joseph Cotton and Billy Wilder and David Niven and Sean Connery. And for the most part, they were sort of had the best days behind them a bit. You know, they were great stars in the 40s and 50s. But then there was the next generation, much younger. Dennis Hopper and Warren Beatty would be at the house.
Yeah.
And I was too young to really appreciate it, quite honestly. But my dad, knowing that it wouldn't last, which it didn't, his sort of, stature, his career and everything, he lost a lot. He would just keep scrapbooks and these big leather-bound books, and there are about 20 of them, just chronicling this period in Hollywood, right up until a filmmaker like Dennis Hopper made Easy Rider, and those people who came to our house, were sort of now obsolete, and there was a whole new generation.
Yeah. Your book is called Friday Afternoon Club. So why that? What is that?
I named it after my sister was an actress, Dominique Dunne. And she was just at the very beginning of her career, was going to an acting class. And at the end of a Friday of the acting class, all the young actors would come over to my mother's house where Dominique was living. And they would party and have an incredible time, and they called it the FAC, or Friday Afternoon Club. And I thought it was a mysterious, I wonder what that title's about sort of title. And it felt good because I knew there was also going to be a lot of, sad stuff in the book as well.
Yeah. So at the heart of your book is a terrible tragedy, the death of your sister. So how are you, as a family, able to overcome that?
Oftentimes when there's a family tragedy, particularly my sister was strangled by her ex-boyfriend, and then there was a trial that resulted in the murderer only getting 3.5 years. It was extraordinary. In California judicial history, it's a very well-known case for how something could go so terribly wrong. And oftentimes when there's a loss in a family, it can drive them apart. In our case, it brought us all together. My parents, who had not been married for over 20 years, they sort of fell back in love again. We just became such a unit. Every day we went to the trial. My mother had MS, so she was in a wheelchair, which we all worried that this trial would, really worsen her condition. It made her stronger. It made all of us stronger. And she'd be in her wheelchair, my father would be pushing, my brother and I on either side. And we entered that courtroom as a family every day to be judged, not only by the judge, but by the jury. They were closely watching us. I heard Mr. Wainans talk about humor, and tragedy. And, grief is not just one note, We laughed our asses off at the worst possible times. And, one time we were at a terrible time. What happens, they blame the victim, is how the defense, and they dragged my sister's name through the mud. Very tough day. And we oddly had lunch every day with the jury in the same restaurant. So they could see us and we could see them. And in a particularly tough day, one of us told a story that made us cry with laughter. And we saw that the jury, or I saw it, the jury was looking at us, just shocked, like, what heartless people you are. And I thought, they don't understand grief. They have a TV movie idea of what you're supposed to be when you're sad. So this brought us together, and my father became a very well-known crime reporter as a result of this trial. Once he saw how unfair the judicial system can be, how unbalanced, he became a writer for Vanity Fair, covered the biggest trials, O.J., Spectre, Menendez, but always thought of it from the point of view of the victim. He never didn't think about Nicole or the Brown family. And my mother became a victim's rights advocate as well. And from Parents of Murdered Children, it was started by Doris Tate, mother of Sharon Tate for the Manson killings. She started her support group that was more of an emotional group support. And my mother started Justice for Victims of Homicide, which was legislative. And they passed laws to protect the rights of victims. So rather than beat us down, we never became tighter as a family.
Yeah. Well, we need to take a short break. Griffin's memoir is called The Friday Afternoon Club, which should totally be a movie. It's available now, and everyone in my audience is going home with a copy. Yeah.